A non-DNC story that I want to talk about is some video that was leaked that is Donald Trump speaking in front of a room of supporters. And it's a behind-the-scenes, non-televised event. And what he says, it's not surprising, but still shocking because of what it represents about what MAGA has turned one of our two major parties. Patriot Takes captioned this. Leaked video last year, Trump told January 6 insurrectionists and their families he is, quote, with them, and that America, was fascist and not our country. And we're going to have a whole discussion, show you a few different videos, and I guess we are going to include a DNC thing because there's a comparison between how Kamala Harris at the DNC talks about America versus Trump, because this is hugely consequential. But here's this video being described as leaked from a private event, and then we'll go further.
So I just want to let you know I'm with you. We're going to do something and not going to let this happen. This is a outrageous situation. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And talked about all over the world, by the way. Talked about all over the world. You know, when other countries are justifying that they do bad things, they talk about this. They say, don't talk about us. Take a look at what you're doing. So we're going to be working with all of you, and we're going to, first we have to get elected. We got to get elected.
Yes!
Being out sick the last few days has caused our channel growth to come to a screeching halt. If you want to help jumpstart it back to where it was going before, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button if you haven't already. Easy, free, but makes all the difference. Back to the video.
You're going to see people be treated very fairly again because we're living in a fascist country. This is almost like a fascist.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't even think the word almost is a good word, but this has really become a country, Louis, like you and I have never seen before. This is not our country. So
that's where the Republican Party's at. I told you I would reference former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger a lot. He spoke at the Democratic National Convention and said, you know, essentially his party no longer dedicates itself to the country or the Constitution or democracy, but instead one person, the one you saw in that video. And that the Democratic Party is the party of patriots, those who value, above all else, the foundation of our democracy. And that's why he, as a Republican, is supporting Kamala Harris in this election. And that exemplifies it more than anything else, right? Him telling families of those who attacked the Capitol in an attempt to do something that could not be more un-American, which is preventing the lawful, peaceful transfer of power, preventing the certification of a free and fair election because they valued Trump over the overwhelming facts about that election, it being the legitimate proceedings of our democracy. And we heard Trump at the NABJ say this when asked about, okay, when you're saying you want to pardon January 6th insurrectionists, are you saying just ones who weren't charged with violent offenses or even those who assaulted police officers?
What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to
my
the
question
people
is
that
on
tried
those
to
rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very tough system. They were.
Absolutely I would, I should say, is his quote. Quote, absolutely I would. After she said those who assaulted police officers, absolutely I would. Then he says if they're innocent, she points out they were convicted and the crowd laughs because Trump is being absurd. And then Midas Touch is reporting that Trump will host January 6th awards gala in September. Event description: we gather to pay tribute to all January 6th defendants who have shown incredible courage and sacrifice. Donald Trump will host a January 6th awards gala at Trump National Golf Club, Bedminster on September 5th. Attendees will have a chance to win a plaque commemorating the MAGA community's purchase of numerous copies of Trump's Justice for All song, which briefly earned him a spot on the Billboard music chart. That is a song that is the national anthem sung by those who could not be more opposed to what the national anthem is supposed to stand for. And you can see the flyer there. Rudy Giuliani will be there. Well, now we gotta go, guys. Gosh, who wants to miss Rudy? Think about that. A party that used to proclaim itself to be, and still does, but used to slightly more credibly, proclaim itself to be the party of patriots. By the way, quick pause from what I'm saying, because I just want to let you in on something that's happening personally in my head. As I've been saying, I know if you're coming across the video, maybe you didn't hear it, but my full show viewers have heard this multiple times now. I still have COVID, but was devastated by the last couple of days. And one of the things I've never had happen with an illness, but happened with this, was my left ear sort of lost some hearing. It felt like it was filled up with water. And apparently that's a COVID symptom. And so still now it sort of is. And what's happening is because of that, I can hear my own voice way better in my own head than normally. And it's really distracting me while I'm talking. So that's part of maybe why I'm not as sharp in my articulateness today. But back to what I was saying, the Republican Party, proclaim themselves to be the party of patriots. We love the Constitution. We're for law and order. We love the police. And now you have the presidential candidate of that party, supported by the base, saying, I'm going to pardon these people. I'm celebrating them at an event like that video that you saw. Horrifying video. These are heroes. We're not going to hold a gala to celebrate the police officers who died shortly after, or who were physically attacked and brutally beaten. For many of them, injuries that took a really long time to recover from, PTSD they've experienced as well. And we're not going to celebrate them at this gala. We're going to celebrate the people who did the attack. Because they, if you really think about it, and bear with me on this, MAGA, if it upsets you, they were more MAGA than anyone has ever been. What do I mean? What does it mean now to be MAGA? Is it a love for America? Not really. Because Trump's whole thing now is talking about how much America sucks. Is it dedication to certain policy principles? No, because Trump has gone all over the map on his policies. So what is it? Well, it's a dedication to Trump. And who showed their dedication to Trump more than anyone else? People who committed crimes, beat police officers, and tried to hang Mike Pence for Trump. So if that's your metric, then I guess they would be celebrated because they were the most pro-Trump. But we over here in actual patriotismville, we think that's vile. And I hope the majority of Americans reflect that view in their voting in November. Now, another example of just the detachment from pro-American values of this modern GOP is the difference in how Kamala Harris speaks about America versus Trump, and that was made very clear in the difference between the DNC and RNC speeches.
I see an America where we hold fast to the fearless belief that built our nation.
We are indeed a nation in decline.
It is now our turn to do what generations before us have done, guided by optimism.
It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction.
I will be a president who unites us.
Crazy Nancy Pelosi.
Who is realistic.
The biggest rallies you've ever seen.
Practical.
Build an Iron Dome over our country.
And has common sense.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He'd love to have you for dinner.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families.
The head of the Taliban, you call me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls the other guy Your Excellency. I doubt it.
I will always honor and never disparage their service.
Our military is not woke. It's just some of the fools on top that are woke.
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un.
North Korea, Kim Jong-un, I got along very well with him.
Donald Trump, he was found guilty of fraud by a jury of everyday Americans.
We will return law and order to our streets.
Separately found liable for committing sexual abuse.
We will launch a new era of safety.
You can always trust me to hold sacred America's fundamental principles, from the rule of law to free and fair elections to the peaceful transfer of power.
We had that horrible, horrible result that we'll never let happen again. The election result, we're never going to let that happen again. They used COVID to cheat. We're never going to let it happen again.
So actually just a broader comparison there between the two speeches, but quite the difference. And at the beginning, you saw the difference in Kamala Harris's awe of the American people and our country. And I do think, and please, if you identify as on the left and you're not already fully bought into this idea, please find it in your heart. Because I do think it's super important that we acknowledge and celebrate what is special and beautiful. And totally, we don't have to disparage any other country to do this. Celebrating what's special about our country, what we love about our country. And feeling patriotic about that while wanting to make it better and address injustices. And that's Kamala Harris's stance. She has said multiple times, the reason why we fight for America to be better, to preserve what is already incredible, is because we love it. It's all of this work we're doing, the stress we have to feel on a day-to-day basis, caring about politics, is all motivated out of a love for our country. And Trump on the other end saying, we're a nation in decline, a failed nation. His son Don Jr. called an S-hole country, saying this is not our country in the original clip I played for you at that event, a fascist country. Trump says, quote unquote, a third world country. All because why? Because he's not in power. Biden said at his really good speech at the DNC, you can't just love your country when you win. Loving your country means loving it through the perceived ups and downs, right? Even when someone you disagree with is in power. And that's what Trump can't do. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. If you want to support this show, you can do so by clicking the join button below. Get members only content. And then if you want to donate to Kamala Harris' campaign, you can do that by clicking the link in the description of this video.